strong leadership can transform not just a business, but the experiences of everyone it touches.
My company will only be successful if it can really keep that customer in mind, virtually, figuratively.
It's so true that businesses and society, they often evolve together, influencing and reflecting each other's values.
Recommending to people to slow down and read long pieces of content, digest information, take your time, figure out what it means for you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Maheen, and today we are exploring customer success and the critical role of the customer life cycle in driving sustainable growth. Our guest today is Peter Armaly, one of the most influential voices shaping the future of customer success. Now, with a 25-year career spanning organizations like Oracle, TSIA, and Proof Analytics, Peter now leads as principal at Valuize, where he helps businesses revolutionize customer value realization. He's also the co-author of Mastering Customer Success, an essential guide for professionals in this field. So, join us next for an inspiring conversation with Peter Armaly, and please stay tuned. Without further ado, let's welcome you to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Maheen. Really looking forward to it.
We're very thrilled to have you on the podcast today. And Peter, now we know that you've been in this industry for quite some time. We'd love to kind of begin our conversation by discussing or understanding the customer life cycle, because the concept of a customer life cycle is gaining traction, right?
Yeah.
Especially among businesses aiming to enhance customer retention and growth. Can you explain the customer life cycle and why improving it is so crucial for businesses of all sizes?
Well, sure. I think it's easiest to understand the customer life cycle and why it's gaining a lot of prominence is because there's so many rapid changes happening in business these days. And the consumers themselves, the customers themselves are driving a lot of this change through, we'll probably get into it, but around the idea of lots of choices. And so the imperative now for businesses to think about, how do I keep these customers through multiple licensing cycles or subscription cycles and renewals, so that the money we've invested in securing them and selling to them, we can reap back over time and get more profitable, thinking about keeping customers for multiple kind of iterations of the cycle. So the life cycle ideally is extended. So I think of the customer life cycle as both an aspiration and a reality. Companies aspire to the customer life cycle being very long, and they imagine themselves structuring their organizations in such a way that the customers paid attention to through multiple kind of cycles of deriving value from the product and then renewing it and then getting more value. But the reality is it doesn't really work out that way very much. I would say a lot of companies struggle to make sure that the customer life cycle extends. So I guess the bottom line is companies invest a lot of money in sales and marketing to land a customer. It takes a few cycles to get that money back. And so the imperative now for companies is to make sure that the attention's paid to customers receiving value over time.
That's such an insightful explanation, Peter. I mean, it's fascinating how the customer life cycle is directly related to a business's health and success. Now, what common challenges do businesses face when evaluating and improving their customer life cycle, Peter?
I think the struggle that companies have, it really exposes internal kind of, let's call it dysfunction. I don't think it's a willful dysfunction. I think companies structure themselves in such a way that they imagine that they're representing themselves best in the marketplace for how they're going to execute their go-to-market strategy and driving value for their customers. But the reality is the internal organizations often have friction with each other. And so that on its face tells you that they're probably not collaborating as well as they could be to focus on the customers, kind of the value that they're going to deliver through the product or the services that they're putting into the marketplace. And that friction often stems from the data strategy that the company may or may not have. Usually they have a data strategy, but it's it's hobbled by access challenges, um, aggregation of data, the collection of data itself, analyzing the data. If you don't have a strong kind of data strategy, the information that can teach you what's happening in the marketplace through your customer community isn't there. And
Mm.
you're really not driving kind of improvements through your products the way they could be. So you're kind of robbing yourself of an opportunity if you're really not kind of having a strong data strategy in place.
Thank you for breaking that down for us, Peter. I mean, it's clear that a robust, customer lifecycle is foundational for a
Mhm.
business success. Up next, we'll explore how these principles really mirror larger societal themes we're seeing today. Because the way businesses engage with customers, they often, reflect larger patterns in society, such as the growing emphasis on personalization and community. So, Peter, how does focusing on a customer lifecycle align with these larger societal shifts, and what lessons can businesses draw from these parallels?
So I think the larger societal shifts really boil down to we as individuals, as consumers, because if you look at your own life, you have almost an endless supply of choice. If you think back of your parents and grandparents, I don't think it matters really where you are in the world. Uh, our parents and grandparents' generations had much more limited choice of things.
Mm.
At least in North America, there's like three television stations. There might be two choices of running shoes, three newspapers, two grocery store chains. That's all changed, and I think it's all well and good that that's all
Right.
changed. And I think the societal shifts are because we as people, as citizens, have demanded more choice. And we were demanding it partly because technology is making it available now.
Mm.
The subscription economy, it makes it available for people like us and companies who are large and small to make decisions in a much more rapid manner about how they want to invest their time and their dollars to advance their own business interests, or as consumers, our own personal interests through the choices we make and how we buy things. And so I guess to boil it down, I think the societal shifts are really towards we have a lot of options and alternatives now that we can make a lot of decisions for ourselves and for our companies, that we're not beholden to larger forces so much anymore to making decisions for us. And I think companies that don't recognize that shift from large corporations to the power of the consumer are going to miss out on really how that's really changing the nature of business going forward.
And that's a great connection, Peter. It's so true that businesses and society, they often evolve together, influencing and reflecting each other's values. Listeners, your customers are the heart of your business, and building meaningful relationships with them isn't just good practice, it's a cornerstone of lasting success. So please stay focused on delivering value at every stage of your journey. Now, up next, let's look ahead to the future of customer engagement strategies, because the digital transformation of customer engagement is moving fast, with new tools and strategies that are emerging constantly. So, Peter, what are the most significant shifts in customer engagement strategies for B2B companies in the coming years?
At a high level, I would say, it's been happening for a while and it's not a new no name for it, but personalization, you mentioned it earlier. I think that's the right way to think of things. And it goes back to what I was just saying about the societal shifts. I think personalization will address our need, our desire to be seen as making our own decisions and having available options to make those things. I think what's facilitating that are the rapid advances we're seeing in technology, particularly around artificial intelligence, and I'm not talking about generative AI, I'm just talking about artificial intelligence in general, which is driving the ability for corporations and companies to move much quicker to identify patterns in the marketplace, patterns of behavior in their customer community that should teach them how they can improve the products and services at a much more rapid pace and in a way that ideally isn't too disruptive for their customers. Uh, but I think AI definitely is probably the most prominent technology that's really driving the differences in customer engagement strategies today.
Mhm. And these are some exciting trends. And it's incredible how technology continues to expand what's possible in building customer relationships. But what role will data and analytics play in shaping these future engagement strategies?
Data and analytics, in my opinion, will play a huge role because there's such a proliferation of information available to companies now. If they choose to pay attention to it, they can learn a lot of lessons from how their customers are using the products, what features are they using, which ones aren't they using. If they pay attention to what their customers are saying in their, social media or otherwise vocalizing what they think about you, your company, and your brand. There's ways to collect information about the presence of your company in the marketplace that I think are mostly untapped. I think companies should be using more um, data facilitated by artificial intelligence, which can move at a greater speed and a broader kind of scope to really identify insights in a much earlier way, a much faster way that they can generate them to the leadership team to figure out how should we think about our customers going forward? How should we think about our own organizations? Should these things, the way we go to market, the way we deliver and execute our services and design our products and improve our products, should those be changing more rapidly than we historically have been doing? And I think data and analytics is the foundation for that to happen, rather than I think a lot of companies in the past have relied on more kind of tribal knowledge or intuition from and more senior people who've been in the business for a while to make some decisions based on gut instinct. I think those days are over. I think the world's moving far too rapidly for any company to kind of rely on that kind of traditional kind of way of doing business.
Thank you, Peter. I mean, there's no doubt that the future of customer engagement certainly looks promising. Listeners, leadership is more than just guiding a team, it's about inspiring them to achieve a shared vision. And a strong leadership can transform not just a business, but the experiences of everyone it touches. We explore the future of customer engagement and the exciting opportunities ahead. After the break, we'll discuss leadership and its critical role in driving customer success.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Four billion people check their email every day. That's 4 billion missed opportunities if your message doesn't make it. To reach your customer's inbox, you need a winning strategy. And Constant Contact delivers. Literally, over 97% deliverability. Elevate your email game with easy-to-use templates, writing assistants powered by AI, and in-depth metrics. Ensuring your email is flawless, delivered, and read. Constant Contact delivers. Give it a try.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
connect and recharge,
make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's dive into Peter's insights on leadership and its impact in creating exceptional customer experiences. Now we'll dive into leadership themes and how they intersect with customer success, because effective leadership is critical for implementing customer success strategies, and leaders shape the vision and they empower teams to deliver value. So, Peter, you've spoken extensively about leadership. What qualities do you believe define successful leaders in the customer success space?
I think because customer success as a function is both on the front line, it's the face to the customers often see, but it's also from an internal company point of view. Customer success is the kind of the entity that is expected to know about the customer and should, help educate the rest of the company about the company. So I think it's a unique role to be a leader of such an organization because you have to be both good managing people who are talking to customers and helping customers, but you also have to be good persuading and educating the rest of the company about what your entity or your function is learning about the customer that could help other organizations improve the way they go do their own work. So I think I think to answer that question about successful customer success leaders, they embody authenticity. They're persuasive. They're good communicators. They're empathetic because customer success needs to be empathetic to really service customers in the best way possible. But they also they have good business acumen because they need to lead a team of people, organization, either people or digital practices that are trying to influence change in the marketplace through the customer community. And so they have to understand what are the businesses that we're touching? Why are they in business? Why are these companies successful or unsuccessful? How can we help them? So there needs to be kind of a generalized kind of ability to appreciate, and there needs to be a curiosity that they possess about business in general. But they also need to have really strong financial acumen so that they can have good conversations inside the company with senior executives, in particular, like the CFO, around budgeting and what they need to kind of invest in customer success going forward. And CFO would rightly say, okay, prove it. What's your business case? And so customer success leaders need to have a lot of these kinds of different skills in order to be highly successful today.
That's so well said, Peter. I mean, leadership
Thank you.
truly sets the tone for how businesses approach customer engagement and value creation. But could you share an example of a leader or leadership moment that has inspired you in your career?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of them, but I often think of one, and it goes back about 20 years. And it's not even a leader I had personally, but I met a fellow at a dinner party arranged by my boss. It was just a social event, and I was sitting beside him. He was the general manager of the Toronto Marriott Hotel at Yonge and Bloor in downtown Toronto. And so he was the head of the entire complex. There was like 5,000 rooms, lots of employees, big business. And we got into talking because I was really curious about the hotel industry, never having worked in it. I asked him, how do you ensure that your leadership team stays connected to the customers, the clients, the guests, as they call them? How do you stay on top of changing needs in the market and make sure that your hotel is really attracting the kind of guests you want and filling the rooms and all that? And his answer was really interesting. He said, he took that upon himself as a serious topic a couple of years before. And what he had his entire leadership team, all the management team, a few hundred people, get scheduled to work with the room attendants for an entire week. Like they each had to do that over the course of a year because he wanted them to learn, not just to be empathetic, but actually learn the job so that they could really appreciate what the work is that makes the room presentable in the best way possible. Obviously, they could look for areas for improvement, but I think what he actually said this, he wanted them to learn what it takes to be a frontline worker for a hotel chain.
Right.
And I asked him, okay, how did that help you in terms of large decision making? And he said it helped them really understand how to do better procurement, how to do better staffing, be more empathetic to the employees themselves in terms of health and welfare. And so I thought that was a really wonderful leadership example for me anyways. I never had to do that sort of thing in myself, but I think that's a good example of, putting it on the line. Most company executives will not do that sort of thing, but I think it's illustrative of his sensitivity to the minute details of that business.
That is so inspiring, and thank you for sharing your experiences with us, Peter. Outstanding leadership. It truly is about empowering others, and this was a great example to showcase that. Listeners, as Peter has demonstrated, success is not just a final destination, but a journey of constant growth and innovation. Always strive to evolve by embracing new ideas and challenges, learning continuously, and adapting to change, because it's this mindset of perseverance and reinvention that leads to meaningful and lasting success. Now that let's discuss your personal journey and what's next for you, because Peter, your career is quite a testament to dedication, to vision, and your journey continues to evolve with new challenges and opportunities. So Peter, what motivates you to keep pushing the boundaries in customer success, and what's next for you in your career?
Well, I think to answer the last question first is there might be a book, another book. The publisher's already reached out to me and said, we were happy working with you, we like the book. Let's think about another one. They haven't primed me with any topics, but I have a thought that there's a voice that's kind of unheard in the business world, and it's the lower to middle level management, managers, directors who are toiling away. In their vital positions in a lot of companies, but they don't get a lot of notoriety. They're often doing a lot of work that they don't have a ton of control over.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like because I've been there, I feel like I'd like to tell more stories about the work that they do and how pivotal it is to the success of a company, that layer functions really optimally.
Right.
It often doesn't. And I think senior executives should probably be paying closer attention to the efficiencies and the health of the individuals who are at that level. So that's a book topic I'm thinking of exploring. But I guess just going forward, I have a real passion for customers. For me, it's really simple.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, I've got a long career in customer engagement and customer success research. But for me, it's really simple to be grounded. The way I think about things, I just ground myself in the customer's perspective. And it's not to say I'm not interested in my employer's perspective. That's not about that. It's more about, I believe my company will only be successful if it can really keep that customer in mind, virtually, figuratively, in the way we design our processes. Because we want to create the best experience possible for them, that they want to stay with us,
Mm-hmm.
that they want to keep renewing the partnership with us, and stay as long as it makes sense for them business-wise. What drives me crazy is when customers make a decision to leave before they ever receive value, because I feel that's a failure of our company,
Right.
more than anything. And so, just to answer your question, I'm continuing down that road of just trying to focus on how I can help my company, but also we're a consulting company, so we help clients figure that particular piece out. How can they center the customer in the way they design their processes, the way their organizations work together to deliver service and products?
That is exciting, and thank you for sharing your aspirations with us, Peter.
Okay.
Your passion for continuous improvement and innovation, it really shines through everything that you've spoken about today and in everything that you do. Peter, we've had an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. As we close, do you have any final piece of advice for our small business owners that are listening?
Sure. It probably runs counter to what the way our societies live these days, but I feel like just recommending to people to slow down and read long pieces of content, digest information, take your time, figure out what it means for you, and how you might implement kind of the ideas in these longer kind of form pieces of content that could help you, improve the way you plan with your people, the way you kind of design your next strategies. I just feel like we're moving really fast in our society, and there's good and bad to that. And I think people often forget that sometimes you have to slow down to pay more attention.
Thank you so much, Peter, for sharing your wisdom and your insights today. I mean, we've learned so much today about customer success and leadership from you today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate being here.
Listeners, today's episode with Peter Armaly was a deep dive into the customer life cycle, the future engagement strategies, and leadership in customer success. We hope it inspired you to think differently about your own business practices. Again, a special thanks to our guests as well as to our sponsors, RBC, UPS, Constant Contact, IAG, and Google for their invaluable support. For more expert insights and inspiring stories, please visit CanadianSME.ca and subscribe to the Canadian SME Small Business Magazine. Until then, this is Maheen signing off. Please stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next episode.